Here's what's on this episode of Formula World. As always, you can find timestamps for these stories in the description or as a pinned comment. First up on Formula World, Vettel's biggest regret. 2017 seemed to slip away from Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel during the Asian leg of the calendar, and the German acknowledges that. But it's the incident in Baku where he deliberately shunted the yet-to-be champion Lewis Hamilton in retaliation to an alleged brake check that Vettel says has played most heavily on his mind. The worst feeling I had was after Baku, I think, just because I sort of ruined the race with something unnecessary, so I struggled with that. Then you would probably refer to other races such as Singapore and Japan. There's a saying that you can't hold on to something that's not in your hands, and that's a good fit. You have to move forward. You struggle a lot more in life with things that you messed up than the things that got messed up for you, if you see what I mean. The incident earned Vettel a 10-second stop-go penalty and potentially cost him a race win, and was also given 3 penalty points on his license. Since then, Vettel has publicly apologised, and he and Hamilton have joked about the incident. FIA President Jean Todt says he understands drivers' emotions well, citing his time working closely with Michael Schumacher, and that these things must be taken into account when addressing these kinds of issues. You know, I'm very tolerant. I do not like people judging behaviour without taking into account the emotions from the cockpit. I can relate to that very well because I have experienced situations like that with Michael Schumacher. People have weaknesses, and when they realise and say, I should not have done that, then you have to forgive. That's how it was with Sebastian. I want 12 Verstappens. 9-time Grand Prix motorcycle racing champion Valentino Rossi has sung praise for Red Bull driver Max Verstappen, pointing to his aggressive driving style in particular, and even went as far as saying as he'd love to see a dozen Verstappens on the grid. Verstappen is like Johann Zarco. Neither of them ever brakes. You have to move aside when he comes along because the danger is that both of you will end up going out. It's crazy. If I was running F1, I'd want to see 12 Verstappens on the grid. Max is an exceptional driver. He is young. He makes a mockery of the system and he overtakes. Fans love those qualities. Hamilton a fool to underestimate Ricciardo. 4-time and reigning world champion Lewis Hamilton recently made a plea for a close title fight next year with the 4 drivers that he believes are the best on the grid. Here's his brief statement on the matter. The 4 strongest drivers I think are me, Fernando, Sebastian, Max. I really hope we are all in the fight next year. It was in response to this that Red Bull team boss Christian Horner warned that it would be unwise to overlook his other driver, Daniel Ricciardo. Lewis would be very foolish to underestimate Daniel. He's a phenomenal driver. He's arguably the best overtaker in the business. He's driven some great races this year and some great races in his time at Red Bull. He's absolutely ready for a championship challenge if we can provide him with the tools to do the job. I'm really excited that we've got the strongest driver pairing in Formula 1, Max and Daniel. They push each other to such high limits, and that's tremendously exciting for us. Sirotkin, Williams frontrunner. Word has come out that Russian driver Sergei Sirotkin is now the frontrunner for the vacant seat at Williams. Reports have come out stating that following the testing in Abu Dhabi, that the Russian driver's performance was good enough for Williams to have begun serious discussions with him. And it is believed that Sirotkin is holding a trump card in that he is rumoured to be bringing with him financial backing to the tune of $15 million. Sirotkin's manager, Gianpaolo Matucci, who is incredibly difficult to find a decent photo of, was asked to respond to the recent whispers and referred to them as rumours, and went on to add the following. Sergei is definitely a strong, talented candidate for this place. There is much speculation being thrown around at the moment regarding this final seat, but only once Williams have made their official announcement will we know for sure who will be racing alongside Lance Stroll next season. Wehrlein, potential world champion. Pascal Wehrlein, who scored all of Sauber's 5 points this season, lost his seat at Sauber to Ferrari protege Charles Leclerc, with many thinking he was hard done by and even a victim of F1 politics. Former Sauber team principal Monica Kaltenborn worked closely with Wehrlein during his time at Sauber and believes that the young German's performance this season hasn't been fully appreciated, and went on to say that he is even a potential world champion. I think his performance in 2017 is still not properly appreciated. Without him, the team would have scored no points at all. I just hope that he will continue to get what he deserves in Formula 1, which above all else is a cockpit. Pascal has the potential to become world champion with the right team. Anyone who has worked with him knows that. Wehrlein himself seems to always be in good spirits regardless of his predicament, and even now, without an F1 seat, he is still trying to find the positives upon reflecting on a difficult season. We scored 5 points when we could score points. That's important. But probably in the second half of the season I had better races, but you couldn't see it as the gap to other teams was too big. What can you do there? I was always giving my best. I think that's the most important thing you can say about yourself. When the opportunity was there, we took it. You can always do things better. With more experience, you think, 1 or 2 races ago I was doing this direction with the setup. Now I know this was worse. I should have gone in this direction. You always learn something. But I can definitely say I was always giving my best. Formula World fans react. The most popular comment from last video was this one about Pascal Wehrlein from Meme Queen, which reads, "I agree with Vettel. I think Wehrlein would be a pretty good fit for Williams even if he is under 25. And many of you noticed my slip up from last video when talking about the new F1 logo, which I mispronounced as Yogo. Yogo. We believe this Yogo. Who are the top 4 drivers from the current grid and in order? Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you liked this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.